GM, everybody. Good morning. This is GM with GMI. I'm Hefe. We got our usual friends here in the Discord, but feel free to join us and join here this morning, where we will be discussing everything in Web3, the latest and greatest, and we'll be doing that for the next half hour, so hang around. If you're watching on Twitch, please give us a subscribe. We're trying to grow our follower base. If you're on Twitter, please like, retweet, spread the word. We're trying to get GM with GMI on everybody's mind. How's everybody this morning? Everyone's still waking up or what?
I was checking down my Bluetooth, my earpods here. I misplaced them last night. Sorry about being a little bit late. Ready to rock and roll.
I can't hear you, Mike Callum. I think it might be your audio on your end.
Oh, that's interesting. This sure looks.
See, it looks like you're talking, but
I'm gonna check against Foreign Light Piglet and T-Bird to see if they can hear me.
I can hear you, Mike Callum.
From your end. There.
Yeah, I figured. Thanks, T-Bird. Let's see. They can hear me, Hefe. They can hear me, Hefe. So Hefe's probably
your
got
taxes. Light Piglet. They can hear you.
Yeah, it's just a you thing, Hefe. We'll figure.
Can you guys hear McCallum? Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear them? Can you
Hefe, can you hear it? Ah.
No, I think he's maybe got.
Cannot hear.
Maybe he's got.
Let me
sounds like he's got Discord deafen.
Sometimes that fixes things.
GM. How you doing, friend?
Here we go. Test.
Yeah, all right. Is that better for you?
Testing. Oh.
No, it sounds like it's deafened, didn't it? Let's see.
Here, let me plug this thing in.
Oh, it's a cable.
There we go. Now you shall be able to hear me.
Is it a cable problem?
Yep, 100% a cable problem. It was plugged into my little groove box there, so.
That is funny. Right on. Okay, yeah, we're in good shape. I was looking for my AirPods this morning, so I just wasn't here on time, but did good, man. Had a good weekend. Made a lot of progress in the shed. I'm putting a picture up right now, and yeah, sounds like the ghost chat.
Oh, let's see what you're working on here.
I'll get the other half of it done today.
And so, what are we looking at here? Is this the beginnings of a shed?
It's a hot tub shack, is what it is. And so it's the two hard walls, and then the other two side walls are gonna be a big sliding glass door and a big bay window. And so from right in the middle of that black deck is gonna be where our inflatable hot tub sits, and then you'll be staring out from the hot tub out into the mountains.
Oh man.
Yeah, here I'll take it. Yeah. I just took a picture of what the view's gonna look like too. Get that here. Yeah, this one we had a hot tub back in Texas. It's the same way as a Coleman inflatable. They're relatively inexpensive. They're like $400. They're not very expensive, but they're effective. They work just fine. They're just inflatable, so they're lightweight and low key. And so when we were moving from Texas to Utah, I had the hot tub drained and deflated and packed away, but it was sitting in the garage. And out in the garage, it was near my motorcycle. And one day I started my motorcycle to let it run, just stay fresh. And I smelled the terrible smell and looked on the far side, and the damn hot tub had unfurled and had touched the motorcycle's exhaust pipe, and it melted right through the damn side of it.
Oh, dang.
So I kind of ruined that one. So I've been needing another hot tub for a long time. So I finally got Rebecca one for her birthday. So yeah, that second picture I just dropped right there, that's what you'll be staring at through the big bay window when you're in the hot tub.
So this will protect you from the breeze a little bit, at least.
Exactly. Well, it's gonna be completely roofed. It's gonna end up completely roofed. Yeah, so those two side walls are up, and we're gonna frame out the other three edges. And so they'll be framing all the way around. We'll put some rafters on it and put a roof on it. It's just that the other three walls, the little mini walls that aren't up yet, those are going to all be viewing walls. One will be a sliding glass door, one will be a big drop-down hatch, and then the other one will be a big bay window.
Man, this is cool. I mean, the design also, but just being like looking at these photos, being like I was there, you know.
True. I know. Yeah. Well, and next time you're back, it'll look a little different.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And
I will say, this is something that we talked about again this weekend, Beck and I. It's just, and I mean, it's not to brag or anything. It's to kind of just highlight priorities, right? Home ownership is fucking huge. Home ownership is huge. We're so lucky and so happy that we have this place to ourselves here, because this is like where we put all of our money. This is our ghost ship. This is just where we continue to just spend all of our time, and all of our improvement efforts is building up this little estate.
Man, that's how I feel about my garden right now. I was out in the garden all day yesterday, just like putting mulch in my planter boxes, just like doing a little weeding, doing some fertilizing. It was good. It was good to kind of build something of your own.
Haven't been on Linz in a little bit. Are you keeping up with your Gotchi Farmer? Are you still posting videos of the progress?
Well, I'll be posting one today. I was supposed to post on Sunday yesterday, but didn't get around.
Yeah, I took the weekend. Hey, I actually had a real question, Gotchi question here. So, I'm somebody who can sometimes talk myself out of the weekend calls if I got stuff going on, and this weekend I did. And so here I am. I missed the Saturday community call. I missed the DAO call. Where do I go for the best information and the best recaps? How does someone like me learn about what happened this weekend in the most effective way, in your opinion, today?
Well, given the conversations we've had around AI, I would literally just take the video. So Aavegotchi DAO has its own YouTube channel now as a central source for those sorts of things. But the DAO is not funding clips anymore. It sounds like, from what it sounded like with the last conversations we had, nobody really watches the clips. I guess you are one of the few. Apparently, I thought they were actually quite useful, personally. I would actually use them myself when I was writing content. I would watch those clips. But, whatever. I guess the DAO didn't really want this. We can still talk to them about it and see if that's something they might want, but my opinion, those clips, no futuristic, that you did were quite helpful, and that would probably be what you would use. That's probably what could be referenced for someone like you. Now I would say without those, I would go take that video. There's an AI tool. You can you can put the link to the video in there, and it'll actually chop the video up and clip it into its significant parts. So I haven't used it. I can see if I can find it actually.
It'd be an interesting example. Yeah, to see what it, that's kind of like the challenge and the question is, in a world with no DAO media team, where does one catch up if they miss something?
Well, I think AI could fill that gap pretty easily and pretty cheaply. So let's say we want a written summary. We could take that video, put it in a AI translator tool, video to text tool. It'll take the video, put it into text, and then we would take the text and we take it to something like ChatGPT-4, and we say, hey, look, take this text, summarize it into 400 words or less, and then there you go. You can even set the tone, professional, exciting. You can set the parameters for what you want that writing to look like. I think it's something I could probably do on my do under my own volition, but it really depends on how much work it is. I don't think it's that much work.
The next
to be
question,
honest.
I guess, is whether or not the average user is going to get to that level of interaction with AI, kind of like using email, or Spotify. Is it that normal and natural for somebody to just utilize their own AI toolkits, or is it something that you would want to see the Aavegotchi project offered to its user base, so that way they can just be fed as baby birds?
People seem to not mind the previous, the agenda, the meeting agenda, the way it was laid out seemed to be okay, but it's not a very great summary. There's a lot. And I think
in terms of the outline being the summary.
It could be technically if you just want to go back and like.
So you would know what was discussed, but you wouldn't know anything about the actual discussion.
Right. And so I'll just put this up right now. This is kind of what I threw together for last Sunday's call. Let's see if I can blow this up a little bit. So, you know, you got your Sunday Dow call, you got your schedule, we had people coming up and speaking, we had our speakers, then we did a proposal review, and under each proposal review, there's a little blurb about what that proposal is, you know, what the outcome looks like, the link to the proposal. Right.
Just to jump in there, T-Bird, did you get a chance to present yesterday?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, it went pretty good, I think. Other than me messing up the proposal at first, not putting in the way to voting. But other than that, it went good, I think. But the proposal's live.
Fine. Yeah. Oh, the proposal's already live.
It's live, man. It's live.
Yeah, go vote.
Wonderful. All right, Alan. What was it? What did the ask end up being? Like 7.7?
Yeah, $7,700. So
fucking fantastic, man. That's gonna be a nice little softball for the Dow.
Yeah.
And if it happens, it'll be 8 weeks. So we're sailing with it. So if it happens, fingers crossed, man.
Let's make this thing happen. It's 7-day, SIG prop, so let's campaign for this. Yeah, we'll talk about this a lot this week.
Sunday during the Dow call.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well done, T-Bird. Thanks for shepherding that. I mean, it's kind of your thing, so good job. Like, well done. Ownership and everything, yeah. And we were able to do our part as much as you needed us, you know?
Yeah, I think the sentiment overall, like during that conversation, was really good. People were kind of excited, and I don't know if you remember, T-Bird, but we had a conversation, like we brought this up when you first actually came out with this. You know, like, yo, I think we should do a sale. And we actually did.
Bad idea.
Bring it up during a Dow call, or I think it was a community call at that point. And people were kind of like so turned off by it. They're like, "That's a waste. Why would Dow ever do that?" You know. And now it was interesting to see how people's minds had kind of changed. You know, seeing what we were able to do at Denver, looking at other communities like Nouns Dow, and like what the Cryptoon Goons have been doing with their merch, and seeing like this is like culture, like this is how you build Web3 culture. It's like these cool marketing initiatives, you know. I don't know, man. It was good. It was really good to see. I'm happy.
No, it's not even an I don't know. You know, I think the most important thing I saw this last year, and it's not just about Flippy, but I forget the name. Immersion Technologies, maybe, is the company that's making the Flippy, which is the robot that's replacing all the fast food workers. But again, like, and this is why, like, I have a desire and a hunt to get more budget breakdowns for major companies and tech startups, because I want more reference about how much of those budgets are allocated into marketing and growth. Because that's what I took away from the Flippy operation, is just as much money as they were spending on payroll and operations is what they were spending on marketing and promotion. 1/5 of that was put into R&D. And so, like, for them, just as important as keeping the lights on and paying the staff was a budget to promote and market the actual work of that staff. And so I think that we're just out of perspective. We're probably just way out of whack for like what our project should be spending on how to grow. I mean, other NFT project communities spend all of their DAO actions on promotion and brand growth because they have no operations. It's just a PFP. There's nothing for them to do. There's not much to spend money on otherwise besides promotion and growth. So their whole budget is in marketing. And yet we seemed more apprehensive about it in the past, but I think you just gave a great reference about watching the DAO mature. Something that was considered a waste of money almost a year and a half ago is now finally welcomed as a reasonable opportunity.
It's maturity, like you said.
That's bullish for me. Like, that's exciting to me. I think that we did have success with ETH Denver. It wasn't a failure. We got our budget extension. We got a lot of people talking about it. We showed the whole community what it looks like when like the show is on. Not so much just let's talk about gameplay or let's point at the product, but like let's actually do a hard promotion effort. It worked. And so now we're going to watch other projects and other proposals start to be unlocked. The fact that if ETH Denver did nothing else but lead us to the existence of the Ghost Ship, then it was a massive success.
Oh, I think Eat Denver was a success in all metrics. I think the Ghost Ship was just another manifestation of the realization of the efficacy of these sorts of initiatives.
Are there? I had this question too. Is there anything else going on in the space non-Aavegotchi that anyone is really like laser eyes on? Is there another Squiggles moment happening somewhere? Is there something else happening anywhere else where people are just like, holy shit, are y'all watching this?
I don't know if it's holy shit, are you watching this? But there's ordinals and there's the whole Bitcoin stamps and ordinals. So actually making things completely on chain like we have been for 2 years. But just gonna.
I guess it's a good idea.
Yeah, but on Bitcoin, it's got the Bitcoin maxis hyped at least, and I'm glad they got something for those guys over there now too for NFT.
Well, tell me if I'm being naive or if I'm just like under appreciating the development, but it sure feels it feels to me like I'm watching Bitcoin maxis get excited about having functionalities that we've all had for years.
Well, there's two camps right now in the Bitcoin community. There's the excited bunch, and then there's also this highly
like the purists,
conservative
who are like,
purist bunch. Yeah, that are almost like we're Bitcoin core. We don't make any changes to the protocol. Like Bitcoin was never meant for this. Bitcoin is like a financial freedom tool. It's not for your monkey pictures.
Well, and the other thing too, man, is to speak to that. I used Stacks Network like a year and a half ago when it first came out, maybe almost 2 years at this point. Do you know Stacks?
No.
So Stacks is smart contract architecture on top of the Bitcoin network. Stacks is a smart contract layer for Bitcoin network, and so it introduced like functionality into the Bitcoin network about a year and a half ago. We did Bitcoin monkeys. They released all these JPEG NFT projects. There's like DeFi and swaps and staking pools. It's like an ETH ecosystem, but it's just operating on Bitcoin for the backend. I didn't like it because it takes forever for shit to settle. They use these things called microblocks, so that way your transaction will process in 10 to 15 minutes instead of the 2 to 4 hours. But for me, it just wasn't as functional as what I was going through on Polygon at the time. But like Stacks has been out for a while, and like I don't know. It's like is Stacks the future of what this Bitcoin functionality development is looking like? These kinds of like smart contract infrastructure layers, or are these guys like learning how to code this stuff on Bitcoin native with nothing in between it?
I think it's an extra layer on top. An execution
I think so
layer.
too.
That's what Counterparty is, like for fake rares and stuff. Rare Pepes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it would have been like a really early primitive Stacks network.
Yeah, I mean, there's only a few components to the Counterparty system. There's like your dispenser, and then there's just the infrastructure to get NFTs out of a dispenser and put NFTs into a dispenser. So, yeah, it's actually really simple, but like it's not all on chain. Like the image still has to be hosted on IPFS or Arweave or whatever. And luckily, luckily that community is actually knowledgeable about that stuff, so most of it is on Arweave, but you get the occasional one that's on IPFS, and it's like, oh, you could end up buying this thinking it has like high provenance as a Bitcoin NFT, but the image could still disappear like 99% of ETH NFTs,
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, and Light Piglet says it right here in the chat too. Stacks is bullshit. So it's like a fake layer on top of Bitcoin or something. Yeah, people haven't. I mean, it didn't blow up. It definitely didn't become the most popular way to interact with Bitcoin. So, I don't know. It's interesting to watch. I kind of just not puzzled. I don't know if I crack up or whatever the feeling is when I'm feeling like I'm watching Bitcoin reinvent the wheel. Like trying, like there's a component in that community that wants what we do every day over here. I'm like, well, no shit. Like that makes sense to me. But I also understand the holdouts that are just trying to protect it, essentially.
They're trying to protect it as a financial tool, which I can understand.
Yeah, we didn't need gold to start having all this functionality. It could just be gold.
Yeah. I mean, gold isn't smart, right? Gold's dumb for
exactly
because it's just gold. It doesn't go beyond that.
I will say, though, like that's an easy reference to make, but the reality is simply not true because gold is functional as hell. gold is probably more valuable as a functional industrial material than it is as a value accumulator.
But the function
like, it is wonderful.
The function is what we place on it, though. Intrinsic, it's because we're using it.
Well, no, I hear you there, but like gold literally was considered store of value, like a jewel, you know. And the same thing applies to diamonds. People say, "Oh, diamonds are just, you know, they're just pretty or just valuable because they take a long time to make." Diamonds are useful as shit for cutting things and grinding. Diamonds are so hard, like for their industrial purposes, they have a perfect use case. Gold is an amazing electrical conductor. It is wonderful inside of sensitive electronics. It helps isolate the body so that you can apply microwave to cancer. Like, these things aren't actually just value stores. They do have in mind, I wonder, does Bitcoin also like essentially have some inherent functionality that we're just not using it for yet? Maybe that's what these pioneers are trying to achieve.
Well, I think Bitcoin's a gold, like it makes for good. I mean, the only other thing with Bitcoin that goes one step further than gold is its divisibility and its fungibility. So, you know, because gold can be broken up into pieces, but it's not exactly fungible. I can't take a piece of gold and give it to you for another piece of gold. It's not going to be a fair trade. Someone's going to get a little bit because we're not very, you know, unless we very accurately measured like this my gold, there'd be no way to tell if my gold was worth more than your chunk of gold. Whereas with Bitcoin, you can tell to the decimal exactly how much Bitcoin I'm getting, but Bitcoin has the same properties as gold. So yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's multiplication. That's divisibility, huh? Like if you had a scale you divide to the 10th degree, then gold for gold swap would still be just as useful, right? Same practice.
Money overall is actually a newer concept than the idea of barter and credit. Barter and credit goes way back thousands of years, where the idea of money is not that it's much more recent than that, you know, because
Light Paper is on at this point. I hate to interrupt you there too, but he's just following up on the gold and diamonds comment too. Is that like in today's world, you can make diamonds and gold synthetically in the lab, so that way they can feed the industrial need market.
Well, diamonds are a scam.
So they've actually
diamonds were never scarce. Like they never. Well,
there's always a synthetically scarce markets.
Well, yeah, diamonds have been mined and held back. That's what makes them scarce. It's a manufactured.
Same thing with gold. All the gold mines are already owned. Like they know where the gold veins are. They know where it is in the ground. There's just no need to dig it all up right now and flood the market. Well, they're literally stringing out the price.
And if you're looking along, you know, maybe 200-300 year time, will become less scarce if we can figure out asteroid mining, because there are gold asteroids within our solar system that could be mined and actually profited from, and like trillions of dollars, hundreds of with the gold out in space.
Well, they probably ain't gonna find no Bitcoin, huh?
That's what I'm saying, is Bitcoin is even more scarce than gold, which is crazy to think about when you look at it that way. And the gold market, I think, represents around 4 trillion. I don't know, someone will have to look that up, but it's at least a couple $1 trillion. Bitcoin is not even 1 trillion yet, so it's in its you know.
I think my mind has just been blown this morning too, because I'm trying to think of things on this planet that are physically.
So think of it this way:
it's a little bit tough.
If Bitcoin takes just the base function of gold, if the world sees Bitcoin just as gold, that's an easy 4x from where Bitcoin was at a $1 trillion market cap, which was around $65,000 of Bitcoin times 4. You know, would be kind of the base value if gold was to be represented as the same size as the Bitcoin market. You know.
Okay.
13 trillion market cap for gold. So actually, I was way off there. It's actually a 13x
from trillion. And the current market cap of gold.
This is where Balaji's prediction for Bitcoin to 1 million in the next 90 days is coming in. is the basis for his thesis is gold will take the
In a gold
functionality.
market.
Yeah, Bitcoin will actually take partial functionality of gold, while we're now moving towards a new world currency. The dollar is now losing its status as a world currency. That's going to happen very quickly, actually, much more quickly probably than people realize. And some other currency will take its place temporarily, but these are all shit coins, man. BRICS is like a bunch of drunk friends holding each other up. They don't got anything. You know, they got resources,
Well,
but
and
they
this-
don't
I
have
totally
functional
agree with you there.
governments. And you know,
And,
they
and
don't-
well, and for that reason, I don't see a replacement of the U.S. dollar by another national fiat currency. I don't.
Well,
So
that's why his
if
theory
if the US
comes
dollar
in.
gets-
It's not going to be another national
Yeah, if the U.S.
currency.
dollar gets displaced, it's going to have to be exactly.
It's going to be
Exactly,
Bitcoin.
it's got to be something else altogether.
Well, it's going to be Bitcoin.
And I agree.
That's
I would agree with that.
There'll be a vacuum, and when you have a power vacuum like that, the thing that's already closest to taking place of that is going to take place of that. And so it's going to be either gold or Bitcoin, but gold also can't be verified. There's no on-chain.
It ain't going to be gold.
You could hide.
There's enough-
you could
there's
hide
enough
a
problems
ton
with
of
that.
gold and pretend like it doesn't even exist, and nobody would know where it is. And then you could bring it back into the supply. You can't do that with Bitcoin because you can see even where the original Bitcoins were still. You know.
Dude, I saw this crazy story about this guy that's a treasure hunter here in the States, and he'd been tracking this tale for a long time of this gold cache that the Union Army. Hang on. It sounds like
He's up there, and I have a
Shut up, Dennis. So it was this gold hunter, and he found through his metal detectorists huge cache, huge void of what looked like gold. It was a precious mineral on his scanner, and so he did all his mapping and did his like sought on who owned the land, and then he did what he's supposed to do, which is to let the FBI know and be like, hey, I think I found a big thing of gold, let's find it, because it's a finder's fee for him if that's true. And now he's in litigation because he alleges that the FBI came in and did a night dig, that they came in there under the cover of darkness with excavators and heavy equipment and dug this cache and replaced the dig site and disappeared, and then showed up again to be like, well, shit, I guess there's nothing here. I don't know, man. Sorry. Have a good day. And that they literally seized this something like 8 tons of gold and has brought it into the coffers, but it's just off the books for now.
Yeah, that shit exists. And then you think about all the gold that's like, you know, just hidden out of sight. People will never get to it. The thing with Bitcoin,
There's a lot of it on the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, well, see, there's 2 million for Bitcoin also, and say, hey, well, there's 2 million Bitcoin that will never move. There's 2 million Bitcoin on chain that have either been lost, just lost, human error, whatever, sent it to the wrong address. There's 2 million Bitcoin that will never move, never be sold. This is a rough number. It could have been, more or less right now, but you could use those 2 Bitcoins still. There's still stores of value, and if there was a system to actually attribute value to these things, even though they can't move, they could essentially be used like rhinestones. We talked about rhinestones many months ago.
They're almost like rhinestones for the whole network. The individual accesses network valuation still occurs.
Yes, like rhinestones in that sense.
It's a cool thing. Yeah, they're anchors. They're anchors for the Bitcoin. And here's my thing. Does your gut tell you that in the next 5 to 10 years, even 20 years, that the government is not going to come out with a tool for them to effectively do an FBI night dig on those lost quantum computing, going to unlock the next layer of cryptography and undermine a lot of the current cryptographic technology that we're using?
Yeah, so quantum computing at this stage is a really good modeling software or modeling system where you could actually find highly predictable outcomes and things that were previously unpredictable. Because with a regular computer, it's either ones or zero. It's binary. All the communication, all the byte code that gets broken down from your Ethereum smart contracts, from your JavaScript code, all of that's a language, but the language it's speaking is bytecode, and bytecode is all zeros and ones. And so when you're actually creating code, it's determined by you. You have no way to probabilistically predict, well, now you can maybe with AI models, but imagine that with quantum computing. If binary code is like flipping a coin, and you get to pick whether the next one's going to be a 0 or a 1, and then you look at the coin and it's a 0 or a 1. Quantum computing is like you flipping the coin, and before the coin has even landed, this computer has figured out every single possible outcome of this coin and has predicted the most probable outcome, and it's going to be right every time. So it's assuming the laws of quantum physics to actually make these calculations.
So is that theoretically going to have the opportunity to like brute force crack seed phrases?
I don't know, because a seed phrase is made up of 2,048 words, right? Combination of those.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wonder, man. I don't know like how subject the Bitcoin network is going to be to attack. Maybe
even on the I think this is true. Go ahead.
I was going to say you could also have a security layer on top. So like what Algorand and Hedera Hashgraph are doing is they're basically taking the blockchain and turning it into a subgraph, a giant subgraph. And so that would be the transaction layer where, you could that would be like the firewall. That's where all the transactions would happen. But the value represented underneath those transactions would be, your Bitcoin, your cryptocurrencies, your whatever. It'd be like an abstraction layer. And that's kind of what Chainlink is doing too, is they're creating an abstraction layer. So everything underneath it will be traded and moved around, but there'll be no direct user interaction with those coins at some point in the future. I'm pretty, but we'll see.
It's really interesting. Yeah. That's interesting. Something I learned with my SafePal cipher card, the hard card, where you put your seed phrase in as physical tiles in a little stainless steel card. It only has slots for the first 4 characters of each seed phrase word, and it's because that's all that's used to actually identify them. Anything past 4 characters in your seed phrase word is kind of just fluff. It's just there for the user experience. It's only the first 4 characters that actually map to the words. And I just didn't know that. And so yeah, all the words out there have a unique 4-letter front run.
I know blockchains are cool, they're transparent and everything, but we do need more abstraction for security in this space. I think blockchain security does need to increase to prevent against these sorts of vulnerabilities, like Piglet's saying. SHA-256 is a things. A lot of important infrastructure is secured by that algorithm. And so,
well, this is why cryptography was not released for public use till the late 80s, early 90s. And it's because it was like the purpose of cryptographic technology was to secure our most precious assets as a nation.
But the fact that this was released in 2008 after the great financial crisis, it makes me maybe think that better. If they're giving this out, it's like GPS.
And that's just when Bitcoin was released. Like public cryptographic blockchain technology was released late 80s, early 90s.
Right.
And so I agree with you. I think at that time the U.S. government had not even just a year, they probably had a decade's worth of experience using whatever they're using today. and they are using something more secure than what we have.
You have some family, that were involved with cryptography, early cryptography, I think you had mentioned one time. And and so can you imagine back then knowing the things that we know now publicly? Back then it was top secret shit. It was classified. You can't talk about this.
I'll tell you one of my favorite stories. So my dad was in the Navy. He's a submarine sailor. He was radioman for 27 years. And so he told me a story once where he was hanging out in Scotland at the Navy base, and his commander came down all fired up and angry because what had happened is that he asked my dad, hey, where the hell are you from? I'm from Texas. Are you married? Yep. Where's your wife from? What's your life like? Who the hell are you? And got it all, just a good old American Texan guy. And so they're like, perfect, come with us. And it's because they had his superior was trying to get top secret clearance, but that person's wife was an Italian national. She wasn't born in America. A red flag that there's just no opportunity for that person to have top secret clearance. You might have a leak, you might have a mole, so we can't trust you. And so they brought my dad in and gave him that license, and so he was the one that got upgraded to that. And so it's all Tom Clancy kind of stuff. This is all like post, after 50 years can be discussed kind of stories. And the stuff they used to tell me about what it rides off of the backs of World War II Enigma cryptography machines that subs used to use for daily communication.
Wow.
Like, that never stopped. That didn't end with World War II. That the enigmas of today, are more complex than they've ever been. But those machines didn't stop being used. Crypto machines are still used today, and that's what stuff like my dad used to do, is be responsible. He was the one who knew the decode. He had the ability. It wasn't like a book that he referenced; it was in his brain. He had to be the one that knew how to translate the cryptography back into actionable messages.
Yeah, and so, going back to your initial question, do I think Bitcoin's going to get cracked? I think there's going to be technology that becomes available not to the public, but to specific higher entities like the CIA that will be able to do blockchain forensics on a level where they'll be able to recover Bitcoin in certain scenarios. I don't think that they'll ever get to a point where they'll be able to, grab your Bitcoin that's sitting in your hard wallet, for example. I don't know if that,
I hope not.
But I could be wrong.
We shall see.
Yeah.
Let's call it, man. We're already at a long session here. Let's roll. This is cool.
Well,
this is
and
a good start to the
we're
week.
talking
I
here,
got a shed to build.
Yeah, while we're talking here, I also made this presentation on the history of gold and basically everything we talked about. I passively made.
Did you really?
I'm gonna drop it here for you guys so you can check it out.
Are you using what, Gamma?
Oh, Gamma, while we're talking.
Like, as we're on this conversation, you've created a presentation of today's topics.
Yeah, it's called The Power of Gold. Go check it out.
That's fantastic, dude. Good job.
That's some superhuman shit right there, but
That is really fun, Hefe. That's really that's cool, man. Good use case.
Just want to show everybody, like, these tools are powerful, man. Like, if you can figure out a couple things that work for you, it'll make your life so easy.
You've demonstrated the tangible deployment of AI to me. Like, everyone's been buzzing about it. Everyone's been talking about it. I had some friends that were doing it with MakeLore, and it was like cute, right? Like Quest GPT. It's all just been like fun and cute games. I'm starting to understand the productivity unlock for these tool sets. It's much more than just entertainment and funness. It's actually superhuman powers, like you're saying.
Yeah, I want people to see this. I mean, I'm not the one saying it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to learn the AI and to learn what works for you. But that's why it's worth taking the time to learn it. But actually, once you get the hang of these things, it is not a lot of work. I totally agree with that sentiment. Anybody who says this is a lot of work is maybe not figured out tools that work the best for them, but I would say with presentations, it's really helpful for the DAO, because why would you bring your just document proposal to a DAO meeting when now you could bring this like beautiful presentation? I know T-Word, I think we threw one together for the Ghost Ship, and we also put one together for Rickage, their Botanica, like they're very complex.